Part 4. Conscience is the inner God spirit of man. Children are playing ball, swinging on the swing, leaving the lesson for a break. They are chirping like a flock of birds before the good weather. Joy is splashing out of everyone. When a person is joyful, he is happy. The soul gradually leaves a person, but not after death, but during life. It goes out with the joy of children, young people, adults, and the elderly, or with pain when a person is sick. Therefore, the human soul decreases with age. The soul speaks to a person with joy or pain. We wish happiness, but we don't know exactly what it is. One says wealth, the other says love, and happiness is the joy that the soul gives. The soul does not obey a person, it belongs to God, or rather, the soul is God in a person. Human life is a fire that burns constantly. A fire needs a lot of fuel. Human genes set the volume of this fuel. We need to spend it more or less economically on the goals set by our genes, which our God has written for us. God has set the program of our life and governs the rules for using this program. Immense passion quickly burns the energy of our life and significantly shortens it, and therefore it is necessary to observe moderation. For example, alcohol burns the nervous system and significantly shortens our active life. Moderation is the restrictions that are laid down in social laws. We see that God the law is in man, the inner God the law, and resides there in the form of a soul that does not obey man, but obey God the law. Now we need to understand where God the Spirit is located in man, and if so, then he should not be subject to man himself. A small child, already at the mother's breast, begins to learn about the world, movement, food, toys. Later, when the child grows up, he continues to gain his life experience, but at a certain stage, the child begins to be taught. This is yours, and this is not yours, and it is not clear from things who they belong to. This is possible, and this is not possible. The child can check some things. The fire burns, and some things can no longer be checked. You can't run out into the road because a car might hit you. Gradually, such guidelines that cannot be verified become more and more. Morality, religion, laws. First a child, and then an adult, continue to accumulate knowledge that is not verified by their own experience. First, they are formed by parents and close people, then teachers and mentors, sometimes random people, if the previous ones did not have time to do this. Over time, such knowledge becomes ingrained in the consciousness, and a person does not remember who gave it and where the person checked this knowledge. Thus, conscience is gradually formed from this knowledge. Conscience is knowledge acquired from outside, but not verified by one's own experience, but taken on faith. Conscience is the inner God spirit of man. It ceases to be subordinate to man himself and act as an external force. I discussed the psychology of the formation of conscience in the blog. Interesting feature of human psychology, the only reason for suicide. End of title. February 22nd, 2025. And in the blog, Formation of Conscience, Secret of the Formation of Conscience. End of title. January 28, 2026. It should be said right away that conscience not always happens correct. It depends on who formed it. Conscience is subconscious. It is formed through trust and periodic repetition, which causes subconscious fear, or under the influence of hypnosis. The formation of conscience, like hypnosis, is psychological violence and is allowed only for good, permissible purposes. Conscience, like the soul, diminishes with age. This happens because knowledge that has not been verified by one's own experience and that was in conscience becomes more and more verified by experience with age. With age, experience overcomes the unverified knowledge of conscience and tears it out of there. God cannot be considered only good. He is neither good nor evil. He is always just. God's decisions do not occur simply and suddenly, but as a result of the complex unity and struggle of his various laws. Often, as a result of the balance of opposing forces, everything remains as it was until now. There is also a state of unstable equilibrium, where the slightest movement can bring it out of tranquility. One such case of unstable equilibrium is thought. That is why a balanced time is needed to make a decision. Hasty decisions are dangerous. So, we have already clarified that God resides in man in two hypostases, soul and conscience. Everything else, memory, thoughts, desires, emotion, and the spirit of man himself. God the law and God the spirit are in man. They are the soul and the conscience. Man's body and spirit are given to him for his use. God gave man power over his body and spirit, where to go, what to do, what to think about. God gave man a body and a spirit, and self-settled in him in the form of a soul and a conscience. Man rules the body and spirit, while the soul and conscience obey only God. Knowledge that has not been verified by one's own experience is postponed in the conscience. One's own experience is placed in a person's memory and in the psychological center of the ego. Thank you for your attention to my fourth blog about religion. More to come.